Hi everyone, it's Jennifer from Fiberflux. In this video, I'm going to show you how to crochet this pretty belt. This belt has a very easy V-stitch sequence, so it's very kind of open looking. And then we just have some simple ties to tie it together, and I finished them off with some wooden beads. So this is a really easy project and you can make it in very little time. This belt is very versatile. You can wear this with a dress or even a pair of jeans, and even like an oversized shirt, and then kind of tie it on the natural waist up high. And it's very adjustable because of the ties, so you can wear it, like I mentioned, up high on your natural waist, or you can kind of wear it like low slung on the hips with a pair of jeans. And also, these beads at the bottom are totally optional. If you're not into the beads, you can just leave them off as well. So for this project, you're going to need a pair of scissors. You'll need a tapestry needle. You'll need your hook. I used a 5.5 millimeter eye crochet hook. You'll need some yarn. I used Vanna's Choice. It's by Lion Brand Yarn, and this is the taupe colorway. And this, I have here a gigantic skein, but if you go in the craft stores, you'll see that the skeins are a little bit smaller. Those smaller skeins are fine. One of those is fine to use. And also your beads. I used some wooden beads. I found these at the craft store, and I got this giant container of them for just a few dollars. So I used some of the round ones at the bottom of mine. But you can use any beads you like. Just make sure when you're selecting your beads that the hole is large enough to get your tapestry needle and yarn through. You'll also need a tape measure. This is going to be helpful when you're measuring your waist, and also when you're measuring the yarn to make the ties for your belt. So let's get started. To begin, we're going to put a slip knot on our hook. So wrap the yarn around your fingers to make a loop. Bring the yarn behind the loop. Reach in with your crochet hook and bring up the loop and tighten. Next, we're going to have a starting chain of 14. To make a chain, wrap the yarn around the hook and bring it through the loop. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14. So here's our starting chain. To begin row 1, we're going to work a double crochet in the 5th chain from the hook. So this loop here does not count. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So in this chain right here, we're going to work a double crochet. To make a double crochet, wrap the yarn around the hook, insert the hook into the chain, and bring up a loop. Wrap yarn around hook, bring it through the first 2 loops. Wrap yarn around hook, bring it through the last 2 loops. This is going to count, this chain plus this double crochet will count as our first V on our V-stitch sequence here. So then what we're going to do is skip 2 chains, 1, 2, so in the chain after that, we're going to work our next V. Each V will be a double crochet, a chain 1, and a double crochet. So work a double crochet right into that chain, then chain 1, and then a double crochet into the same chain. So it'll look like that. We're going to repeat across. So skip 2 chains, 1, 2, in the chain after that, work another V. Double crochet, chain 1, and a double crochet. And then repeat. Skip 2 chains, and in that very last chain, work the last V of the row. Double crochet, chain 1, and a double crochet. So when you're finished, you'll have 1, 2, 3, 4 V's. Remember, because this chain counted as one of the double crochets, so that forms a V as well. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. So let's move on to row 2. Row 2 is the row that you'll be repeating for the entire rest of the belt. So this row we just did kind of set us up. I'm going to get a little bit more yarn. So to move on to row 2, we're just going to chain 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4, turn our work. So this is going to count as one of the double crochets and chain 1 that starts the next V of this row. So in this first chain 1 space that we formed by making that chain 1 into the center of this V, we're going to work a double crochet. Just like that. Okay? Then in each V across, we're going to work a V into the V from the previous row. So each V was a double crochet, chain 1, double crochet. So I worked a double crochet, then a chain 1, then a double crochet. So what's going to happen is as we build our rows, let me remove my hook for a moment, these V's are going to be stacked. So you can see the V and then the V that goes right into the previous V. So they're going to have a stacked appearance. So we're just going to repeat this across. So locate the next V and then work your V right into that. Double crochet, chain 1, double crochet. The last V will do the same thing. Double crochet, chain 1, and a double crochet. Just like that. Okay, so they're stacked. So like I mentioned before, we're going to be repeating the row we just did, row 2, we're going to be repeating that for the rest of the belt. So let me just show you one more row. Chain 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4, turn. That first V will work a double crochet. Remember, because that chain 4 counted as a double crochet and the chain 1. Next V, double crochet, chain 1, and a double crochet. Get some more yarn here. Next V, double crochet, chain 1, and a double crochet. Last V, double crochet, chain 1, and a double crochet. So you're just going to keep going, repeating row 2 until the belt is as long as you'd like it to be. Okay, so I'm just working the very last stitch of the very last row. And you'll just repeat over and over until your belt is as long as you'd like it to be. So before I fasten off, I want to talk a little bit about sizing. When you're measuring your belt to determine how long you need this to be, you're going to wrap it around your waist and just have it meet, have the sides touch and meet together. Before you finish, decide how you want to wear your belt. Some people like to wear their belt up higher on their natural waist to kind of, if you're wearing like a long shirt, to kind of cinch the shirt. Other people like to wear belts kind of low slung and down on their hips. So figure out how you want to wear your belt and then crochet to that point. However, because this belt ties, you can really wear the belt either way. You're just getting kind of a general idea here. So once your belt is as long as you'd like it to be, we're going to finish it off, okay? So go ahead and cut the yarn, and then we're going to just fasten off with our hook, just like that. And then I have a tapestry needle here, and I'm just going to weave the ends in, and then we'll be ready to add the ties onto our belt. Okay, so we're just going to weave in one direction like this with our yarn, and then come back in the other direction, just like that. Take your scissors, trim, and then do the same for the other side. Just weave that other end in. So you're just going to have a very long, narrow rectangle when you're finished. Okay, so we're just going in one direction, coming back in the other direction, same as the other side. Okay, and then just trim that off as well. So now we're ready to do our ties. So just fold it in sort of so that both of the bottom pieces are facing you. So to make the tie part of our belt, we're going to cut 6 pieces of yarn, each measuring 90 inches. So your tape measure will be helpful for this part. Now we're going to trim them all even, so if they're not exactly 90, that's okay, but just make them roughly 90 inches long. So then what you'll do is fold that strand. I have one piece I've cut that's 90 inches long. We're going to do one together. So we're going to fold it in half, okay? Then we're going to fold it in half again. So when you hold it, you'll have 4 strands, okay? Now one end will have the cut ends and one end will just be loops. Take the end that's just loops, like this, and then choose one of the holes at the bottom. We're going to put 1, 2, 3 along this one and 1, 2, 3 along that one. That's why we need 6. So we'll do one on either side and then one in the center. So just try and space them out accordingly. I'm going to start with the center. So send the end that you have with loops through one of the bottom holes. I'm going to start with the middle and then do either side next. Okay, so you're going to have a loop like this. Now take the strand that's hanging down and just send it through the loop. If you've ever made fringe on a scarf, this will come easier to you. Okay, so, and then just tighten it. And that's it. That's all you have to do. And then we're going to repeat 2 more on this side and 3 across on this side. So I'm going to go ahead and add my strands, and then I'm going to show you how to trim everything nice and neat at the bottom and add some of the beads to give it a little bit of weight. So I went ahead and finished one side, and I'm just going to pull the strands all the way down. Just get them nice and straight. Kind of comb them with your fingers if you need to. And then once we get down to the bottom, you can see they're all different lengths and loopy. So what you're going to do is just take your scissors and just trim straight across, okay? Then we can add our beads. So we still have to do this side. We can do this side later. We have our strands, and then we're just going to put some beads at the bottom of our strands. And this is not only decorative, but it's going to kind of weigh the belt down as you're wearing it, okay? So I have a whole bunch of wooden beads here, and these were super cheap. I think they were in like the kids craft area. There was just a big container of them, just a few dollars. So we're going to take our tapestry needle. Now, because these beads were so inexpensive, some of the holes are large. Like this one has a very nice large opening. Some of them don't. So just kind of make sure before you commit to a bead that your tapestry needle can pass through. So what we're going to do is just figure out where we want our beads, which beads we want. I'm going to kind of mix mine up a little bit, and you know where the placement of them and everything goes. So you can tie these on any way you like, but what I'm going to do is do 2 per strand and just kind of mix them up in height a little bit. So I did 1 dark bead and 1 light bead per. Now when I'm talking about the strand, these are the strands that we tied on, and then I just divided them because we were left with 4 strands of yarn per tie-on that we did. So I'm just doing 2 beads per grouping here. But really you can do this any way you like. So I'm just grabbing 2 of the strands, threading my tapestry needle with the 2 strands of yarn, and then just grab a bead and slip it on. Now I want to get all my beads on first before I start tying things. So I'm just going to put all my beads on, and then we'll tie knots in the bottom of these to secure them. But I just want to make sure I like the appearance and the placement and everything. And if you need to trim something to get it the right length, that's okay too. So I'm just putting each bead on here. And again, I just want to make sure I like the way it looks before. Okay, so I have all my beads on, and I'm going to kind of, maybe just kind of stair step them a little bit. Slide a couple up and a couple down, just like that. So now what we can do is go ahead and tie a knot in the bottom. I'm going to do a few because some of my beads have a larger opening. If your beads do not, then you don't need to do as many knots. So I'm going to go ahead and tie my knots on And just double check these to make sure, this is a pretty large knot, just double check these to make sure that bead is going to stay on, okay? So I'm going to repeat this all the way across for all my beads, and then we'll rejoin in just a moment. Okay, so I've gotten all my beads tied on. I'm just going to trim the yarn at the bottom. If you like this kind of fringy look, you can leave them. It's up to you. Okay, so just trim all those if you want. So now our tie is complete. Looks very cute with all the little beads on there. So then we're just going to repeat the other side. I'm going to set this part aside, and we're going to repeat this side, and then our belt will be complete. So I'm going to go ahead and repeat this, and then we'll look at the finished belt and check it out. Okay, so I finished the other side. So now we have two beaded strands that we can tie together for our belt. So our belt is complete. So that is how you crochet this pretty V-stitch belt with the beaded tie-ons. And I wanted to mention as a side note, these beads are completely optional. If you're not into them at all, just leave that part off. And that's it. We're all finished. So thanks so much for watching, and be sure and click the subscribe button to get all the latest Fiberflux video updates. Thanks again.